So I've been on a new journey when it comes to my art. I made a little goal of learning how to get better at drawing Pokemon, and the best way to do that is to draw Pokemon. Cottonee was the first Pokemon I did, and I made a short / TikTok for that since I didn't need a whole video for it. After drawing Cottonee, I needed to find more Pokemon to draw, and I was working on the script of the short. Instead of doing that, I ended up drawing 3 Pokemon instead. The short is up, and now I have 3 Pokemon to yap about in terms of my art process. I'm Honey Doggo, and here's my art process of drawing the Gen 1 starters as a newbie to drawing Pokemon. I have a little process I did with all the starters. It was a quick study and a bit of blind contour. Doing those 2 things helped me familiarize myself with the shapes, so when I went to do a sketch, I felt more comfortable. Doing a study and or blind contour when you're drawing something you're not familiar with is something I recommend. Studies, regardless of whether it was quick or not, can help with shapes, perspectives, and help with knowing how to draw something in general. A blind contour is just forcing the brain to draw small details in one line without looking at the drawing. Blind contour is meant to look messy, as you're only looking at the reference. Something important I made sure I had at the beginning was references. References are a lifesaver, and having some for poses and colors was great for drawing the starters. Having references is not cheating, as every artist needs to know what exactly they're drawing, and memory is not the most reliable. While I do think drawing from memory can and does have its place, it didn't play a role in my art process, so references are just fine. Despite that, there were struggles, but that was a given. Now that I have the general art stuff out of the way, let's talk about what it was like to draw the starters themselves. Bulbasaur was one of the first starters to get a sketch, color, lighting, and shading. I was nervous to do the whole thing, and Bulbasaur took me by surprise. Out of all the starter bodies, Bulbasaur was easy. I don't know if it's because Bulbasaur is one of my favorite out of the Gen 1 starters, or if it's because Bulbasaur is on all 4s. Regardless, Bulbasaur was fun to draw, and the issues I ran into were minuscule. One of those issues was figuring out the color of the bulb on Bulbasaur's back for its shiny. I figured it out, but it took me a moment to panic and then lock in. Shading and lighting were easy, though I did have to adjust the colors a bit to find a middle ground for both the normal and shiny colors. Charmander was more of a struggle than Bulbasaur when it came to sketching and drawing the line art. It was mainly the perspective and the anatomy of the face and right arm that I struggled with. It was annoying, but I wanted Charmander to look as good as I could, and I had to remind myself that this was the first time drawing it and to be kind to myself. Once I got the anatomy done in the line art, coloring was really easy. Charmander doesn't have a lot of details, so coloring him was a breeze. When it came to lighting and shading, Charmander was a bit of a special case. I had to tweak the shade color, which worked well for both colors. However, the lighting, I had to make a copy of that layer and adjust the copy's color to fit shiny Charmander's body. That doesn't sound too bad, but it's the only starter to get this treatment, so I think it's worth pointing out as part of the process. Outside of that, Charmander was a bit difficult for me after the sketch, which is something I can't say for the last starter I drew. Squirtle somehow ended up being tougher than the other starters when it came to sketching out the body. I was struggling to get the shape of the body and shell to look decent, and I had to take a break so I could come back with a clearer head. Eventually, I got the sketch done, and I was happy with it. I don't know how Squirtle ended up kicking my ass in that stage of drawing, and honestly, I don't think I ever will. It's a mystery to everyone, but unlike Charmander, I can say everything else, including anatomy, was easy. Maybe my struggles with Squirtle in the sketch phase made everything else feel easy, like going uphill is harder than going downhill. Squirtle had to go through the standard tweaking of colors for the lighting and shading, and this is mainly due to the shiny colors, but Squirtle was decent enough in the process outside of the sketch phase, and I liked the result. Despite the highs and lows of drawing the starters, I'm happy that drawing them has allowed me to say I've drawn 4 Pokemon on this journey. I'm proud that I managed to get 4 Pokemon drawn at all, and while I have 1 Pokemon someone suggested for me to draw, I want to try and make more videos like this. This has led me to a fork in the road. Now I have options, woo! Should I move on to Gen 2 starters? Should I do the middle stage evolutions for Gen 1? Should I move on to a different Pokemon with different forms? What do you want? What do you think? I want to hear what you have to say. If you like this, and if you like this video and you want to follow me on this journey, feel free to subscribe. You don't have to do that. Watching the video all the way through is more than enough. Thank you for watching, and I hope you have a fantastic day.